Hello and welcome. Western society, in its relentless pursuit of progress and control, has veered away from both the natural world and the very core of human being. In doing so, it has authored a tragicomic spectacle, a modern comedy of errors, rife with contradictions, ironies, and missteps. What was once a tapestry of intimate relationships with the earth and with one another has frayed into a culture obsessed with individualism, consumption, and mechanistic mastery. This essay traces the arc of Western civilization's alienation, from its distorted myths of progress to its ecological forgetfulness, revealing a deeper cultural disconnection at the heart of our crisis. At the foundation of this alienation lies a pervasive myth, the belief in progress as a linear, inevitable ascent toward perfection. This vision, shaped by Enlightenment optimism and turbocharged by industrial capitalism, presents history as a one-way street where newer is always better, and each technological breakthrough affirms our mastery over nature. Yet the Earth does not operate in linear time. Life unfolds in cycles of birth and decay, ebb and flow, and any worldview that ignores this truth invites collapse. The blind commitment to endless growth on a finite planet has already led us into ecological degradation and resource exhaustion. Progress, once a beacon of hope, now resembles humans as farcical figures frantically digging deeper into trouble, unaware of the hole we are in. Equally misguided is the deep faith in the techno-fix, the idea that the solutions to the crises caused by technology lie in even more advanced technology. Climate change, engineer the sky, mass extinction, store seeds and genomes in underground vaults, loneliness, invent yet another social platform. The irony is bitter. The tools meant to save us often deepen our disconnect from one another and from our home, planet Earth. Far from neutral, technology reshapes how we relate to life and to ourselves. It reconfigures desire, rewires attention, and commodifies the sacred. Solving problems of disconnection with tools that intensify that very disconnection is a tragicomic act of self-deception. This disconnection has deeper roots in a historical shift, the disenchantment of the world. Pre-modern and indigenous cultures saw nature as alive, conscious, and sacred. But with the rise of mechanistic science, the world was stripped of spirit and reduced to dead matter, stuff to be measured, controlled, and used. René Descartes' view of animals as soulless automatons symbolized this rupture, laying the intellectual groundwork for centuries of ecological and moral indifference. Today, forests are lumber, rivers are resources, and people are human capital. In stripping subjectivity from the world, we've not only ravaged ecosystems, we've also impoverished our own souls. The hunger for meaning, so often numbed by material abundance, points to something deeper, a culture that has lost touch with its sacred ground. This sense of detachment manifests in how we relate to place, or more precisely, how we fail to. The modern Western lifestyle, shaped by mobility, globalized commerce, and digital life, severs people from the land beneath their feet. Homes become interchangeable, communities transient, landscapes mere backdrops to economic activity. And yet, one cannot protect what one does not know or love. Intimate knowledge of place breeds responsibility. When that intimacy is lost, so too is the impulse to care. Alienation from place is thus alienation from belonging, stewardship, and the rhythms of life itself. Undergirding this ecological and spiritual crisis is a cultural pathology, the cult of the individual. The modern Western self is imagined as sovereign, autonomous, and self-made. From political and economic ideologies to pop psychology, the message is clear. Freedom lies in independence. But human beings are not autonomous islands. We are fundamentally interdependent. We evolved in cooperation, shaped by bonds of kinship, empathy, and shared survival. The myth of the self-made person ignores the vast web of relationships, ecological, familial, social, etc., that make life possible. In this performance, the individual plays both hero and fool, applauding his freedom, while trapped in systems he pretends not to see being, far from free. This hyper-individualism feeds another illusion, that identity can be manufactured through consumption. In the absence of genuine community and deep connection to land or tradition, we turn to brands, lifestyles, and digital personas to construct a sense of self. To be someone, or to find oneself, is to buy the right things, post the right content, and adopt the right look. But this self is fragile, hungry for validation, and vulnerable to manipulation. It is a self built on shifting sand, increasingly anxious and alienated. The very systems that promise freedom through choice and expression often entangle us further in cycles of dissatisfaction and conformity. Nowhere is the comedy more tragic than in our collective forgetting of what we are, animals, embedded in nature, dependent on its gifts and limits. Western modernity has created environments that ignore and often contradict our biological and emotional needs. We live in artificial light, eat processed food, avoid physical movement, and suppress our emotions. The result is a crisis of health, both physical and mental. Conditions like obesity, anxiety, and chronic disease are often symptoms of environments and lifestyles that are fundamentally unnatural. We've designed a way of life unfit for life itself. The ecological crisis we now face is more than a technical challenge. It is a mirror reflecting the deeper dysfunctions of our worldview. Climate change, mass extinction, and pollution are not just environmental issues. They are cultural and spiritual indicators. They reveal the emptiness of our myths, the destructiveness of our assumptions, and the unsustainability of our desires. And yet we respond with the same logic that caused the problems: adapt, mitigate, and innovate. Build seawalls instead of moving inland. Invent synthetic meat rather than change our habits. Launch billionaires into orbit while ecosystems collapse beneath us. The absurdity is both comic and terrifying. Yet even in this tragicomic landscape, there are signs of renewal. Interbeing, long held by indigenous wisdom, mystical traditions, and even the content of artificial intelligence, reminds us that we are not separate from nature, we are nature. Our lives are entwined with rivers, forests, animals, and fellow humans in bonds of reciprocity and care. To heal this fractured world, we must also heal our fractured societies. That means reclaiming the structures that nourish community, local economies that support people and ecosystems, public spaces where genuine encounter can happen, rituals that give shape to meaning, an education that grounds us in wisdom rather than utility. It also means living in place, learning the names of the birds, the pattern of the seasons, and the stories of the land. No app or marketplace can replicate the depth of belonging that comes from being rooted in a living place. Ritual too plays a vital role. When we honor the cycles of life and death, when we mark the turning of seasons, when we gather to celebrate and mourn, we restore the rhythm of human life to the rhythm of the earth. These are not primitive vestiges to be discarded, but the very practices that make us fully human. In recovering them, we begin to remember who we are. The story of Western society's alienation from itself and the earth is both absurd and poignant, a comedy of errors with tragic consequences. Yet the final act has not yet been written. If we can find the humility to laugh at our follies and the courage to change course, a different future is still possible. Not a utopia built on silicon and speed, but a world more rooted, more reverent, more alive. To reach it, we must step off the stage of illusion and re-enter the real world, messy, mysterious, and magnificently interdependent.